Welcome. It's once again time for Aaron Live. I am, of course, Aaron, and as far as I know, I am still alive. Gray, rainy skies. It was sunny yesterday. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. We'll have a few days of sunshine, and no. Crappy, rainy weather. But at least I have my garbage man shirt on. So anyway, what a show. What a fantastic show I have lined up for you today. It's at least a show. So if you're looking and saying, what are those, what's that spot right over here and here? Yeah, I had to get some spots frozen. The doctor, not skin cancer, but we don't like the look of that. We're going to freeze it. So I had a bunch of those done, and there they are. So it makes me look even older than I do on my own without help, with strange spots on my face. That's such an old guy thing. But you know what? Here we are. Yeah, let's see. It's doggone it. Where is my itinerary? How do you wait? It's over there. I got such a big show, I had to write everything down. So, and then I put it over there, which makes perfect sense because my computer is here. Why wouldn't I put my itinerary over there? Okay. I got some stuff. I picked up some stuff. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at art. We're going to take a look at some cover artists, Bob Oksner. We got some new Cryptid videos, just all sorts of fun things and stuff to do on this dreary, rainy Sunday. Let's see who's here. Corum is here. Says, now that's a cover. Of course, he's referring to the thumbnail of Lois Lane tied up to a tree by a big python or something. Sequential artists, greetings, Aaron, in the chat. Pastmaster Dan is here. He says, no Nick Cardy. We can only do one artist a time, Pastmaster Dan. So maybe next week. Actually, next week I won't be here because we'll be watching my daughter's final dance program of her college career next weekend. So I will not be doing the show next week. But the following weekend, who knows? Maybe I will do Nick Cardy next week or the following week or next time. So, like I said, I can only do one a week, man. I haven't skipped anybody. I did skip Matt Baker from the 40s and 50s. And I was looking at his covers, though, and I was kind of like, there's some famous ones, but is there like 10 or 13 that I want to pull out and say, oh, this guy was a prominent cover artist? And I know that his cover art is sought after, but there's a few of them I really like, and then a lot of them are just kind of meh. So I didn't end up doing one on Matt Baker, although maybe I should. We'll see. We shall see. Creative Phase here. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Repairman Check says, I never miss the show. I can't chat during the show anymore. I don't know what that means. Ahoy, Aaron, in the chat, because you're chatting right there. Does that mean you're at work and you can't chat? Or does it mean that something's preventing you, like the implication being me, which would be wrong because you just chatted right there. So I'm assuming something's going on that you can't, that's out of your control, that keeps you from chatting. We'll just go ahead and assume that. Who would win between Man-Thing and Bigfoot? Well, if I was working for Marvel, Man-Thing would win. If I was mad at Marvel, Bigfoot would win. There you go. But my inclination would be Man-Thing. He's swamp. You can punch through him. You can, Man-Thing would win. But as the great quote that I got from Walter Simonson, it all depends on who's writing the story. And it's so true. Pantheon's here. Robert the Bruce, Randy Howell, all the way from Canada. Pity Maw. Headless Bourgeoisie is here. Has anyone given Aaron crap for misspelling Bob Oksner? Did I misspell it? I thought I double checked that before I went on there. Where's the thing at? Hang on a second here. Yep, I misspelled it. Gosh darn it. I thought I caught that. All right. I'm guilty as charged. Spaceman is here. Fox Mulder, thanks for joining us, Fox. Marcus Killaroo, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, is joining us. But Stealth X5 is here. Stealth X5 for $2 says hello. Well, hello, Stealth. Thanks for joining us. As always, now I'm mad that I misspelled that. Invincigaz is here. Michelle Bowers. Hello, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. There's Spaceman. I already said Spaceman, didn't I? Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, here, but will eventually be stepping away to cook dinner. He has to tell us that every single time. He's cooking dinner every time I do this show. I will do my best to make you lose track of time until you are so hungry that you go, I've got to go make dinner. Saint Ravage is joining us. Did you wear your pink slippers to the doctor's office? No, I did not, and they're not pink. I got them on right now. They're kind of an orangish red. Pink. Marcus Killaroo says Oksner is a Graham Nolan fave. He's good. And we'll get to that later. But Randy Hall says Aaron likes the Man-Thing confirmed. It is true. And Dino Palazzo, I'm here, nerds. I have a Man-Thing. Oh my gosh. Jerry Rasco is here. Says happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Jerry. Alexander Urquhart Jensen is here. Borovo Hey Gerbik is joining us. Don't forget the Many Loves of Dobie Gillis comic by Oksner. I did. Yes, I do remember that. We're not featuring any of his covers off that comic because I don't think they were particularly notable, but that's just me. These are my favorite covers. You may disagree. Eric and Boyd is here. Andy Dalliff. HR. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting crap for misspelling Oksner. I get it. Dale A is joining us. Creative Faye defending my pink slippers that are not pink says your camera doesn't like red, must not be commie. It is not a communist camera. It's very much a capitalist camera. Really likes blue. Rodney Ulabari is here. Okay. All right. Let's see. We're going to do the gamut today. We're doing everything today. I'm not skipping anything. I'm prepared more so than mostly, but let's start with a public service announcement, if you don't mind. You know, if I was smart, I would edit those two things together instead of sitting here clicking on the two ones and trying to time it just right. But that would require work. So anyway, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Helps the channel grow. We are slowly inching our way up. I should be like over, I should be at 10K right now, and I'm at like 4,000 subs. But you're powerful 4,000 subs, and I appreciate it. But do hit the like and subscribe if you have not done so already. And they say ring the bell for notifications. I don't know what that means, but go ahead. Supposedly you get notified, and if I'm doing a show, but it seems like the dog, of course, 3:30 every freaking Sunday, the dog starts barking. Anyway, so you should get notified if I'm doing a show. It should notify you, hey, Aaron Live is about to go live. But I keep hearing from people they don't get notified. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with YouTube. So many questions, so little time to answer them. People have been bugging me about starting memberships. And I'm like, well, if I do memberships, I got to give you guys something. And what am I going to give you? That, for members only kind of thing. And I've got an idea, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But now let's do this.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
You can always tell when I've been to Trader Joe's, my favorite tiny little supermarket. Grocery store, I guess I should say. It's not really a supermarket. But they do have things like dark chocolate covered raisins. So I go in there and buy a few things here and there whenever I happen to be in the neighborhood. And I was just a couple days ago. So I secured my treats for today's snack time. It's so healthy. Raisins are sort of a fruit. Dark chocolate's supposedly good for you. It's incredible. I feel great. Energized, really, now that I ate those. I'm so energized that I would like to show you today's version of the Frazetta of the day. So watch your monitors at home, please. I always like it when I can find a piece of Frazetta did where we can do the layout, the prelim, the finished painting, and then the published version of whatever it was. And there you have it. That was the Doubleday hardcover book, the Swords of Mars plus the Synthetic Men of Mars were both included in that hardcover, which I do have right over there on my bookshelf, along with all the Doubleday versions, because they got little black and white Frazetta drawings on the inside, which is really why I have them. The color paintings have been reproduced a gazillion times. And like I've told you guys before, I've got like something like 37 or 38 Frazetta books. So I have multiple copies of those, of his paintings. But it's those black and white illos in there that really make it kind of interesting. I kind of like that painting. Even though it doesn't have any monsters on it. Nice big central figure of John Carter leaping through the air. And again, in fantastic Frazetta fashion, you've got the well-lit main figure, and then it kind of gets dark around it, so your focus is right where it's supposed to be. A true craftsman of leading the eye and storytelling right there by the late, great Frank Frazetta. Jerry says, I have to share a healthier snack with you, Aaron. Blue Diamond Blueberry Almonds, blueberry almonds, tasty and healthy. Okay, I will look into that. Creative Faye, how about that? I just posted a new Dave Sim interview. That should be interesting. I assume she means on her YouTube channel. So check out Creative Faye. That'd be, yeah, I'm going to check that out. Dave Sim. Eric Boyd says raisins are very high in sugar. You know what I don't understand? I did Weight Watchers once with my wife, and everybody in the class, I was the only dude in there. All the women were so pissed at me because I ended up losing 20 pounds. And then I got a little medal for doing it. And then then they authorized me to become a leader of one of the groups if I wanted to, which I didn't. But one of the things they allowed us to do is eat grapes, because it didn't used to be on their acceptable menu, but then they did allow it because they said, you know what, show me one guy that ever got, one person that ever got fat eating grapes. And I said, that's pretty good philosophy, because I don't think you could. If you were like lost on a desert island with just a bunch of grape bushes and all you did was eat grapes, you probably wouldn't get fat. So I used to use the grapes as snacks. So obviously raisins are dried grapes. So why would there be more sugar in a raisin than there would be in the grape before you dried it? Now, I realize there's maybe some chemical changes or something that makes it worse. I don't really understand that logic, but that's what people tell me. Perhaps Aaron can counsel EVS. In what? Okay. See, all right. Hang on a second. I left my itinerary over there because, well, I'll tell you why. I got in Wraith of God, which we'll get to in a minute. I'm doing a page where we're inside this church, and I needed I needed like an old, like looking pew, the wooden seats that people would sit on in the church. And so I pulled up some reference, and rather than printing it off of my printer, because I have a really high-end printer and it prints really slowly, and so I just drew it, but I drew it on the itinerary for today's show. And so I took it over to my drafting table and was using that as reference to draw on this page, and then I left it over there. So now I have to go over there and get my itinerary, because if I don't, I might not do everything I'm supposed to do. So watch this. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do this really quickly. We haven't seen this in a while. I made a couple movies. No, these are not my student films. Don't get excited. Just for use on this show. Unless I ditched them. Where are they? Let's do this one. Huh? Tell me I didn't learn anything in film school. All righty, there we go. So I have my itinerary. I'm ready to go. Aaron, the human printer, you should grab your itinerary. I did. I just did. While that movie was playing, I grabbed my itinerary, and now I'm ready to go. So this says right now that we have to take a break for a paid advertisement. So, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, that's right. We are sponsored by Wraith of God, Fear Hollow today. Wraith of God, Fear Hollow is the third graphic novel in a series of Wraith of God graphic novels. And this one, the Wraith and Esther face off against the Headless Horseman. The Wraith faced the Headless Horseman 20 years earlier in this small town called Cranestown, somewhere in New England. So they're going back to Cranestown to see if the dead have stayed dead or if he's back up causing trouble. Now, there's more to it than that. It's much more complex, much more frightening than I could possibly describe right here. But I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this one. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Wraith, which, you know, a couple hundred of you watching right now, probably every one of you has heard of the Wraith, but maybe not. He's kind of a Batman of the Old West. He travels around in a dark wagon filled with his science things and his weaponry and his disguises. And he and his partner, Esther, a Salvation Army worker who he manipulated into becoming his partner, they travel around and fight monsters, kill monsters in the Old West because he's on a mission from God, or at least he thinks he is. Is he really? You got to read the series, man, to find out the answers. But anyway, this is the latest installment, 64-page graphic novel. You have 4 cover options. That's cover A. This, of course, cover B. That's an EC variant, if you will. This is cover C. This is the 1972 Marvel variant, if you will. And then, of course, the great Chris Stevens did a painted cover for me. So you have 4 cover options. If it were me, I'd get all 4 because I'm a collector. That's what I do. But you only have to get 1. Actually, you don't have to do any, but I would appreciate it if you'd get 1 at least. Here's some, first couple pages from the story. Nice little Cranestown there in New England someplace. Seems really nice, but you go out into the dark woods right in here, and there's an evil witch living out in this little hovel. There she is. But you know what? She's not the only evil person in this story. We got this guy who we find out more about him, a little bit more about him. We're setting him up for bigger things, but he is sort of the Doctor Doom to the Wraith's Fantastic Four, if you will. And so he's involved in all of this. So we have a little confrontation here. And then I thought I'd give you one of the splash pages. There's many splash pages in this issue, and a lot of them involve horses. Oh, boy. Horses are pain in the butt to draw. You know that? But I do it. I do it for you. So, make sure you back this so you can enjoy all the horsery, that the horsing around, if you will, that's in this issue. I contracted with David Williams to draw this wonderful superhero, cosmic level superhero story as a backup feature in this book, but I can't do it if we don't hit 100,000, and we are a long way from that, folks. So let's start grinding our way towards that by backing today. Because once we hit 100 grand, this story gets included, and boy, doesn't that look good? Mysterious beings deep in space, monolithic sentinel type characters. I'm digging it. So we do have some stretch goals. 40,000, we've hit that. That's unlocked. That's the Loprestiverse retro editorial page with character value stamp added to the book. Those of you who backed Wraith of God before know that there's those little kind of Marvel-like editorial page in there that does have a Empire Comics value stamp in there, just like Marvel used to do. At 60,000, which we've hit, every backer will receive a new Sculpture card. Sculpture is one of the female character from the nightclub, so you get a trading card for her. When we hit 80,000, which we're knocking on the door of that, so there's no doubt in my mind we'll surpass that, every backer will receive an all-new trunk. That's the elephant guy from the nightclub. And if you're sitting there going, Aaron, what the heck is the nightclub? The nightclub is a spooky superhero team, part of the Loprestiverse. We did a backup story in Wraith of God 2 featuring the nightclub. That's your best introduction to the nightclub, but they also appear in the Garbage Man graphic novel and very briefly in the epilogue to Wraith of God 1. So if you don't know who the nightclub is, it means you're not reading Wraith of God, and you need to start doing that. Here's some groovy add-ons you can get. Wraith of God Nouveau print. This is 11 by 17. It's a big print. Signed and numbered, limited to 500. Wraith of God Roughs. This volume 3. This gives us 48 pages of layouts to the graphic novel. So you can kind of look at the page layouts that I did and go, oh, okay, I see. This is how he laid the page out. This is what he's thinking. And then you look at the finished product, and oftentimes they're not quite the same. You can see the changes and that I made in the process of my storytelling. You can get a shot club featuring the nightclub, which we just talked about. This is the fourth shot glass in a series of 6. We've had the Wraith, Garbage Man, and Kit Carter in previous campaigns. This campaign, the nightclub. When we get to all 6, then we'll release a special holder for all the shot glasses to sit in. It'll be very cool. So you want to back that. And then, of course, the Wraith of God poker chips. These are the heavy clay ones, the really nice poker chips. You get 3 of them, Wraith, Esther, and of course the Keon Werewolf, which I will continue to exploit probably till the day I die. And here's some back issues. If you didn't get Wraith of God 1 or you didn't get Wraith of God 2, they're available on this campaign. You can also go to my website and order them, and you get them right away. If you order them on the campaign, they're a little bit cheaper, but you got to wait till the campaign fulfills to get them. So anyway, please, if you have not done so, please consider backing Wraith of God 3 for your haul. You'll find a link in the description of this video. One other quick thing, if you don't mind, is speaking of my website, here it is, aaronlopresti.com. You'll find a link in the description of this video. There's all sorts of things on the website, but we're going to go take a look at the store feature here. We click shop now and look what it does. It takes us over. Welcome to the official Aaron Lopresti web store. What have I got in there? I got all sorts of things and stuff. So if you go to the store, you'll find all products, prints, books, merchandise. So there's just the books that you can get. Look at all those things. Look at them. Kit Carter, Garbage Man, all the Wraith of God issues and covers. Power Cube still available. Kit Carter sketchbook. Couple of Kit Carter ash cans left. I got a couple of these price guides that I did the covers for. I saved from the trash. I have a few of those left. I'm out of hardcovers on Kit Carter, at least the signed numbered editions, but I am going to, I should do that. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. But I do have a few overprints, like 30 copies of the hardcover. They won't come signed. They won't come numbered. They'll be way cheaper than these. But if you wanted a hardcover, you'll be able to get one. It just won't be part of the signed and numbered limited edition hardcover run. The other thing that's kind of cool about this website is I got all this original art for sale. I keep adding mostly to the sketches. These are the sketches. A lot of them were done on Graybeard. Some of them weren't. There's pages for sale. Got Kit Carter pages. I've got Justice League pages. I got Swamp Thing pages. I've only begun to scratch the surface of all the art that I'm going to put up for sale. And then, of course, we have some illustrations that don't necessarily fit in the other categories, some paintings, some color stuff, Star Wars princesses, things like that. So anyway, again, the link to my website is in the description of this video. You can go there and get all your print, book, and original art needs right there. So follow that link. And there we go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your paid advertisement for today's show. Sequential Artist says, Aaron's website makes me wish I had more money to spend. Makes me wish you had more money to spend. Or you should have done a brown shot glass for Garbage Man. I don't really think that was available to me. Okay. Checking the old itinerary, it tells me that we're supposed to do this now. Bob Oksner, not Oskner. It's a complicated name, but we'll do the best we can. Okay. Let's just start here and work our way up. What you'll find with Bob Oksner is that many of his covers were either humor or romance. And because he did girls well. He did cute girls well. So we'll take a look at this. How about, now it's a terrible scan. Sorry about that. That's a little bit better. Girls love, look at this poor girl crying here. I don't know if I can read the words. Doggone it. All right. I'll have to get a better scan. But I kind of like this. Again, big central figure here in the foreground. Almost looks kind of Doris Day-ish for those of you who are mega waybackers like I am. But again, it's just, you know, you wouldn't have caught me dead buying one of these as a kid, obviously, but now as an adult, I kind of growing this sort of appreciation for romance comics because there's a lot of good art in some of those romance comics. All right, here we go. He also worked on Bob Hope. Look at this. I don't understand. Isn't anyone interested in the beauty of a superior machine in motion? I'm afraid they are. Yeah, so he's got some girl dancing in a cage in go-go boots. I don't know if this is the kind of stuff you would bring home and mom would go, oh yeah, that's good. But look, Frankenstein is down here. Some Dogman, Dracula, Mummy, a high school science fair. I'm sure she got an A for her little go-go box bird cage thing there. But I mean, come on, look at that cute girl and the figure and everything. Really well done. And the Bob Hope caricature. So Bob Oksner was he was versatile. He really was. He didn't do a ton of superhero stuff, but he did do some, which we'll see. Headless Bourgeoisie says, if your mom was hip, she'd dig it. Actually, she probably would. All right, here's another nice romance cover. This is from Falling in Love, number 124. Is he only fooling you? I won't let you marry her. Don't you know about her shameful past? What can I do now? I'll lose him. Apparently she was a go-go girl, or is a go-go girl. Her shameful past. Well, you know, girls got to make a living. Again, nice face, cute little figure work. I don't know how I would feel if I got pigeonholed into being a romance artist. A lot of these guys, though, kind of treated this like commercial art, and they're kind of like, you know what? Job's a job. Because as you know, Buscema did some romance. Romita did a lot of romance. Her vacation proved to be Moonlight Madness. They said I was anybody's girl. Ooh. Puppy love. More. Wow. If only I'd realized how jam-packed these things were with action. I would have bought them when I was younger. Comic Crusader says, where were these some of the influences for the women you draw? No. I didn't even know about him or wasn't aware of him. My women were observational in that I learned to draw from books on anatomy, but my mom was she really had an appreciation for pinup art back in the day, like Petty and Vargas and guys like that. And so she was just on my case all the time, because when you're a young lad, all you draw is male superheroes, right? And then you realize when you get to be about 13 or 14 that, hey, you know, these girls are kind of cool. And then you start trying to transition into drawing women. I almost hate to use the word transition anymore, but to drawing women. And then it's like, so your women look like guys with boobs, right? And then your mom comes in and goes, no, you know, thinner waist, shoulders are too broad, give her some hips, you know, things like that. And she really browbeat me and made sure that face isn't pretty. girls, you know, she draw girls, draw them pretty, you know, and all this kind of stuff. So I owe it actually to my mom browbeating me. But I don't really remember looking at any comic book artists for inspiration for how to draw pretty girls. I really don't, because I wasn't buying comic books that had girls in them. I was buying monster books and superhero books, and you know. But anyway, he you know, he would have been a good influence though, for sure, if I was even aware of that. Some of you may know this. This is Angel and the Ape, another humor strip. So you had the cute girl who was kind of a dumb blonde, and then you had the monkey guy, and they were detectives, O'Day and Simeon, private investigators. It was kind of a goofy series when DC was trying to do a lot of different and strange things back in the late 60s. This is 1968, of course. So kind of at the, you know, the hippie era, all that kind of stuff, trying to be groovy. Jimmy Owens is here. Hey, Jimmy, thanks for joining us. Benjamin Soto says, your mom sounds like a tough art editor. She was. She still complains because I draw a lot of like what she describes as ugly old men, but they're usually like monsters or, you know, characters from, you know, the hosts of horror comics like the House of Mystery and all this kind of stuff. And I draw that stuff. Why do you always draw ugly old men? But it cracks me up. It makes me feel better about myself. So there you go. So this was, now here's just a collector's side note. Like a few issues after this, they premiered a character called Dolphin. Okay. Which was this girl who was like, kind of like Aquaman, but she was a chick, and she had like cut off jeans and this kind of blouse, and she swam around, and, completely forgettable character. And yet a lot of people have heard of Angel and the Ape, but not a lot of people have heard about the Dolphin. And the Dolphin is worth like 10 times as much as the first appearance of Angel and the Ape, which I can't explain. In fact, it's even, the Dolphin is listed as a key issue because of that first appearance, where this is considered a minor key as the first appearance of Angel and the Ape. So why is the Dolphin so much more collectible than Angel and the Ape? I have no idea. But I just wanted to throw that out there because as I was doing my research into these Bob Oksner covers, I thought he did the Dolphin one, but he didn't. That's why it's not featured here. But Angel and the Ape is. And again, what does he do? He centrally focused on the babe, and you got the monkey hands in the foreground to give it a little bit of a mysterious element to it. You know, the guy with the arrow in him dying in the background, so you know it's a humor book. But a nice little effective, fun cover there. Here's Young Love, number 80. In this issue, Please, Please Love Me a Little Longer. Wow. I'm not blaming you for what happened, Richard. I knew what I was doing, and I'm ready to pay the penalty myself. What did she do? What did she do? You know what's great about this cover? Is this huge, pretty face of this girl, and then this kind of grumpy guy back here who's obviously been treated wrong by this degenerate 60s chick. But beautiful face, sort of boom, grabs your attention. Now, again, you know, I assume they thought young girls were reading this, not guys, but when you got a guy drawing it, you're going to draw, you know, these beautiful women. Look at this thick ink line right here on her hair to separate her from him in the background. I would argue that it's unnecessarily that bold because there's no background for her hair to kind of bleed into. But it is interesting. That's why he did it. That's why there's that thick line there. So anyway, but I like this one because, again, you have this large, pretty face, and that's enough to make me buy the book. Now, here's, I guess you can say these are quasi superhero. This is one of his covers from Lois Lane. And look at, oh my gosh, look at the bend in this poor Lois's back here. This is crazy dynamics. It worked. Superman is chasing an empty spacesuit and Lois Lane has only seconds to live. Why is Superman so dumb in Lois Lane comics? Batman and Robin are in this. So this is Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 123. This would have been 1971. When they had those giant, all the issues were like, well, not all of them, but most of them were like these 25-cent giant issues for a couple months. Poor Lois. But the extreme angle that he's got her figure at is, which kind of grabs your attention on this one. And Andino says, women make men dumb. It's science. Legkick says, Night Nurse is a quasi-superhero book. Not really. The way I wanted to do it, I pitched a Night Nurse and didn't get off the ground. It would have been brilliant. Brilliant and incredibly funny. But, when I was pitching stuff in the 90s, no one was buying because I was a nobody. And I didn't really realize that at the time. But now I've got all these stories that I'm doing. I guess I could do the Night Nurse story anyway. I could do a romance comic with this Night Nurse story and just call it something else. And, I couldn't use all the Marvel characters though, could I? Forget it. Okay. How about this one? Now this was Bob working romance in with superhero comics. This, of course, is Supergirl number 6. Look at that saucy babe kissing a biker. Supergirl sparks a deadly street war in that gang lords. This hippie girl's running in. Supergirl's stolen kisses will cost lives. Gang lords clubhouse. I love how they call themselves. They're a gang. They're gang lords, and they call themselves Gang Lord. That's the name of our gang, is the Gang Lords. It's not very original. But even though you just get an eye of her, that's a really cute face he's got going here. This is a cute little cover. And if Supergirl has like superpowers, how is she getting manhandled by this guy in a biker club? Sequential Treasure says even Supergirl wants a bad boy. It's true. And look at this. They're really bad because they got cobwebs all over here. This looks like the garbage can, and there's cobwebs on here. So when was the last time they took out the garbage? And then this can of beer or pop or whatever is laying there on the floor. But at least they laid it down on a piece of paper as not to damage the floor until they got around to picking it up. But I love this cover. It is just hokey. And let's face it, folks, this perspective is jacked up badly, but I don't care. I dig this cover. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so now these are my top 3. The rest were just kind of in any order you want to, but these are my top 3 Bob Oksner covers. We're going to go back to Supergirl, really pushing the romance theme on this one. It's Supergirl number 3. What's the good of being a Supergirl, helping everyone, if I can't even get a date? Now, and look at the cat's licking her hand. So she's this beautiful teenager, apparently, with superpowers, world famous, and she can't get a date. I find that hard to believe. But there she is, an outsider, as all the groovy kids are inside partying down, and she's outside in her little red hot booty shorts and can't find a date. It's tragic. Yeah, Past Master Dan points out that's a pretty thick window. And it is very low to the ground, too. Sequential Treasures. James says, poor little rich Supergirl. It is. It's true. It's sad. But there you go. Tragic but true. Look at those wispy ink lines in the hair there. Right up in here. The figure work is really, really good, though. And I do like it. Like these little faces, they're not really detailed, but they're really cute and they're well done. Well done, Bob. Well done. Now, how about this gem? And this kind of speaks volumes to how society has changed in the 50 plus years. Can you get more bondage? Look at this woman down here on the ground. She's hog-tied. Oh my gosh. Hog-tied and gagged. Okay. And then you've got the two girls that I don't know who this is or why she's wearing that, or this little, mini skirt thing with a tie. I guess this was 1969, 71 fads. Too Late, Superman. It's the funeral march for Lois and Thorn. Okay, that's Thorn. This is Lois. Who is this? Superman. Is this Thorn's partner? Does she have a partner? Superman, stop him from playing. One note and we'll all blow up. Dale points out nothing suggestive going on there. Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you look at the Lois Lane covers especially, she was in bondage a lot. Those covers. Superman, get there in time. They are. I mean, the girls are cute. He draws cute girls. Whether or not you would describe this cover as being cute or incredibly offensive, I don't know, but it is. It's pretty funny, and it's the kind of cover now for its complete irreverence that I would buy just to have in my collection because it's just so over the top. But here, speaking of irreverent and non-feminist, this is my favorite Bob Oksner cover, and I actually do own this one. Yeah. Now, look at this. It's My Happy Bride Has Arrived. Let the Wedding Begin. He's literally dragging her by the hair to the altar. Oh my gosh. This is classic. This is one of those covers where it is so freaking funny. It's like, I have to find this comic. And I did. And in near mint, by the way. And Dino Palazzo says, I own that cover too, Aaron. See? Pastmaster Dan says, Superman is kind of a lurker. He is kind of lurking around. Now, here's the interesting thing. I thought this was Neil Adams. You know why? Because of this. This is such a Neil Adams pose right here. Right? And this kind of looks like a Neil Adams face here. This looks very Neil Adamsy right in here. This Supergirl could be Neil Adams. It could not be. It's hard to tell from this angle, but these guys, I always thought this was a Neil Adams cover. And it was so politically incorrect, I had to own it. And then, of course, I found out it was a Bob Oksner cover. But still incredibly, the reason I got it was because I love the drawing, but also because it's so politically incorrect. Jerry says, can you imagine the looks you'd get trying to pitch a Lois Lane series today? How did that happen? Yeah, well, a Lois Lane series that looked like that one. Yes. Yeah, this is so funny. I mean, if you're a woman, you probably don't think it's that funny, but us guys think this is hilarious. And you get Zatanna and Animal Man as backup stories. You can't go wrong with this one, folks. So there you go. There's some of my favorite Bob Oksner covers from the 60s, late 60s and early 70s. Just totally groovy stuff. I mean, if ever there was a cover artist you wanted to say, that guy's groovy, I think Bob would be the guy. So there you go. Creative Faye says, I found it funny. Okay, good. Good. So she wasn't offended. She thought it was funny. So lots of commentary on that cover, and should be. It's Mighty Joe says, looks like she finally got a date. That's good. That's funny. I like that. Yeah, it is. It's like the caveman joke, right? You grab the cave girl by the hair and drag her to the cave, right? So there you go. Oh my goodness. That was fun. All right. So the question that always is on everybody's mind, I know, is what did I buy now? Okay, I got some comic books. I got a book. I got some stuff. Let's take a look. Let me just do this real quick. We'll switch the old camera. All right. Now, remember I talked about possibly getting this comic. That's Invincible Iron Man number 101. Val Mayerik cover. And I said, when are we ever going to see Val Mayerik drawing Iron Man again? And he didn't do it on the inside. The inside is George Tuska. So I was able to get a near mint copy of this book, not graded. I hope you guys appreciate that, for $20. And I said, you know what? I'm taking it. I'm taking it. Frankenstein versus Iron Man. This is the kind of comic that Aaron Lopresti should own. I felt actually guilty that I didn't own it. We're not going to crack it open because George Tuska's Frankenstein is not worth viewing. No offense to good old George, but yeah. So anyway, I did pick this up. Now, I also picked up a couple Savage Swords of Conan because they were Buscema stories inked by Nebrez, which is my favorite combination. Now, it's interesting, and maybe Marcus Killigrew will have some insights, or maybe somebody else. So I tried to find out what Buscema's opinion of Rudy Nebrez was, and as an inker, because they worked together quite a bit. And I know that the Weird World stuff that he did in the Marvel Super Special magazine, the Warriors of the Shadow Realm, that was a very special project to Buscema. So I thought, well, he must have been okay with Nebrez inking it, because surely he would have flexed his muscle and said, no, I don't want Nebrez inking him, if he didn't like his stuff. But I haven't been able to confirm nor deny what his feelings were on Nebrez. So anyway, if anybody has any insight, post it. Hey, Aaron, thanks to Shelley popping into my chat on my show last night. Hope you guys are well. Much love. Oh, thanks, Don. That's Don Draws stuff. Of course, he did the back cover for Wraith of God number 1. It is. It's in near mint condition for $20, and it's a $65 book by guide standards. However, getting someone to pay $65 for that book is probably, chances of that are slim to none. That's why I paid $20 for it. But anyway, so why did I get this particular issue? Well, see this page right here? Somebody had this page, the original art, on Comic Link, or pardon me, on Comic Art Fans. And I saw this page, and particularly this pose of Conan right here, which I thought was just fantastic. And it made me think, you know what? I'm going to get this story and read the whole thing. I only read half of it. It's a little convoluted, but there's just some tremendous artwork in here. Man, I wish I had been around when, in the late 70s or 80s as a professional artist, or the late 70s, early 80s, so I could have worked on some of this stuff. But just great Buscema stuff inked by Nebrez. And the thing with Nebrez is, I've said this before, when he's drawing his own stuff, his anatomy gets a little wonky. That's why he's so good when he's inking somebody who draws really, really well. Like, look at this head right down here in the foreground. Look how well that's drawn. And so that's why I really like him over Buscema, because Buscema is very no nonsense. He doesn't put a lot of detail in his figure work and things. And then Nebre goes in there and details the heck out of it, still keeps the goodness and the solid quality of Buscema's pencils, but then adds all this extra sort of flair to it. So I just really, really like it. And somebody had, where is it? Oh, it was a different issue. I take it back. I was going to show, but there's just a lot of, like, look at all this sort of extracurricular stuff in here. The guy's cape and then on his little helmet thing. But here's the thing that ticked me off about this. Now, this was sold to me as a near mint book. I don't know if you can see this or not. This corner is bent. There it is. See that bend in it right there? Yeah, right there. That goes all the way through the book to the back end of the book. So look at that. It's not a near mint book by any stretch of the imagination. I only paid $10 for it, but still, I was a little ticked. But it's not enough, you know, and I just wanted to read it anyway. It's not something that is like, you know, a collectible book in the sense that, oh, I'll save this in 20 years, it'll be worth a couple $100. No, in 20 years, it'll be worth $10 that I paid for it, if that. So anyway, just lots of good, fun Conan violence. And, you know, the shading, the feathering on his arm and stuff. Buscema doesn't do that. But I think it's cool that Nebre's does. So I had one piece inked by Nebre's, and I cherish it. He went in and totally took it over, which is totally fine. But my drawing was good, and so it gave him the foundation to really do something cool. So, and I've got it now. I've got an original Nebre's. So anyway, there you go. So I picked that up. Now, here's the other thing. Chuck Jones, The Dream That Never Was. Now, when we did Chuck Jones a couple of weeks ago, I brought up this fact that he did a comic strip called Crawford. And there's this nice hardcover book featuring a bunch of sketches and the strips. I haven't read it yet, so I just got it, but tons of great Chuck Jones stuff in here. Let me see if I can. There's Ralph Phillips. Remember those cartoons? The little kid who had the great imagination and was dreaming all the time. So tons of this stuff in here. Some pictures of Chuck. Focus. Thank you. But then we get in later, we get actually into the strips. Okay, now this is a collector's book because it was a small print. I think IDW put it out many moons ago. I think it's IDW. Yeah, IDW. But I had a very limited print run, and it's like $125 book now. Well, it just so happens that a friend of mine, Stephen Ing, who's an art collector, had a copy of this, and he said, hey, you know what, Aaron? I will trade you your Looney Tunes drawing of Daffy Duck from Deduce You Say for this book. And I said, yes, plus some cash considerations. So we made the deal. I sent him the artwork. He sent me this book with a little bit of cash, and we called it a deal. So now I have this great Chuck Jones book with these great little comic strips in here that I can't wait to spend some serious time going through and checking out. So that is the Chuck Jones book, The Dream That Never Was, and the Crawford comic strip. So how about that? Terror Movie Trailer says that is a fabulous book. Indeed, it is. If you're referring to that bend in that magazine, I could get it pressed, and it probably would press out, most likely, but I'm not going to spend money to get that book pressed when it's really not worth anything. So, Spaceman's got it. They're coming to get you, Ralph Phillips. When he was in prison, he was going to get electrocuted. Yep. Muted. I'm not muted. See, I'm not muted. Never mind. Thank you. Okay, so that's what I bought. Actually, I've got a couple other things, but I'm going to save them for the next show because I didn't want to just like overwhelm you with a bunch of stuff that showed up this week. Now, according to my my itinerary, it's time to do this. Again, this is kind of a misnomer because this isn't in my flat file. I just did it. But I'm going to show you anyway. Yes, it's Nosferatu smoking. Yeah. Which brings me to this. So people have been asking me about doing like a membership on my channel. And I thought, well, what can I have that'll be like special membership things? So what I was thinking of, Nosmokeratu. Is what if I did a membership on this channel? If you became a member, you'd get like a couple exclusive trading cards of monsters smoking. Okay, so this one, and where's the other one here? Bear with me for a second as I dig this up. Where is it? Yeah, you remember this one from, I think I showed this on Graybeards. I don't know if I showed it here, though. So yeah, again, this is what I do to amuse myself, like really late at night when I should be going to bed. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll draw this. So these are kind of bookends, right? So then there's Frankenstein smoking. And Past Master Dan got, was, as I posted these, was like, you need to do something with these. And I thought, what could I do with these? I thought I could make little cards out of them and trading cards out of them. And so they'd be like, something you might get if you signed up to be a member of this channel, which I'm not offering it at this moment, but these are one of the things I'm considering doing since I have this weird fascination with drawing goofy characters smoking. See, everybody's like Wolfman smoking. Spaceman says, still love the Frankenstein, and it's so cool. Thank you. I do have a mummy smoking that I haven't inked yet. So, there you go. Creature from the Black Lagoon smoking. Yeah, so that might be something I would do, and then just do these like little cards with these guys on them, and that would be like the benefit of being a member to the channel. Visible Man smoking, which is a cigarette. It's not a bad idea. It'd be easy, wouldn't it? I'd have to do the sunglasses, wouldn't I, though, and the hat, and then just nothing but the cigarette. So anyway, Spaceman says, great. I don't know what just happened there. I just blanked out. Am I back? Am I back? Can you guys see me now? I don't know what just happened. Okay, good. I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So I mean, both of these, obviously, the lighting effect is coming from the cigarette, right? And on this one, I actually kind of messed around, did a little bit more work on it. So I used like a white charcoal pencil here to give these highlights, and then I used a little bit of yellowish, well, kind of Naples yellow acrylic here to kind of give a little yellow. You don't see it in this scan, but because I was like, well, if he's getting yellow lighting from the cigarette, then I need to put it in here. So I did, but it's not in. I did it after I scanned it and realized that I hadn't put anything in there. So anyway, just kind of messing around at midnight when I should be asleep. Anyway, so there you go. So we will see if I actually get around to making memberships. I guess I should. Everybody keeps bugging me about it. It must mean something. So I guess I need to look into it. Oh, there you go. See, it should have been Frankenstein lighting his thumb on fire. See, there's always there's a ton of great gags you could do, but I got to stick with my tried and true. Isn't it funny when cartoon characters smoke? I don't know. I don't know why I find it so amusing, but I do. Anyway, so there's that. Okay. So now, according to my itinerary for this show, I believe it's time to do this. Morgan Weistling. You're probably saying, who is that? Well, he's a contemporary artist, meaning he is alive and well today and working. And he's quite a talented painter. And he started off doing movie posters. And then, like so many great artists after or before him, he got into fine arts. Okay, so real quickly, here's just a couple of the movie posters. He never did any like really huge movies. I guess this would probably be the biggest one he did, but it wasn't very good. And I really liked this movie, but the lead kid was horrible. And if they'd had a better lead kid in this movie, I think the movie would have been way better. Murdoch says, what was the name of what? Morgan Weistling is who we're looking at, if that's Frank Puffenstein. Antonio Raschillo says, hey, Aaron, I really enjoyed Kid Carter. Thank you. Generally made me laugh, and I love your more cartoony style. Any chance you'll do a full-on humor book like Mad Magazine? Probably not, but anything is possible. I started thinking about doing a goofy Frankenstein comic strip. So anything is possible. Anyway, as you can see, this is more of a sort of contemporary movie poster style. Because when you see his fine art, they're so different, it'll blow you away. But the interesting thing here about Morgan is, and I talk like I know him, but I don't. But Glenn Orbick, the late great Glenn Orbick, I did know a little bit, and he is the one who told me about Morgan, and I checked him out because they were friends apparently. So Morgan Weistling is nationally recognized as one of America's top contemporary painters today. A successful illustrator in the Hollywood movie industry for 14 years, Weistling made a transition to the world of fine arts in 1998. That has been meteoric in so small sense of the word. His earliest influence was his artist father, on whose lap Morgan sat and sketched at just 19 months of age. How about that? At the age of 15, he began his serious art training in the Los Angeles area at the Brands Art Institute, run by Fred Fixler, who you will maybe have recognized that name because we did a thing on Glenn Orbick. And this was the guy that, this is probably where Orbick and Morgan Weistling met, was studying under Fred Fixler because they both did. Fixler was a trained classical muralist. And this is who Weistling learned how to paint, and studying of how light and tone tell the story of form. Now, this is interesting. Weistling was recruited out of art school by the top advertising agency in Hollywood, Bacon Renerick Design. Didn't know that. At the age of 19. So this guy the guy is in, he was 19, so he didn't even graduate art school. So he's 19 years old and he's getting recruited by the top Hollywood advertising agency. That's incredible. And so then he just jumped right in and started working on commercial jobs for the movie industry, which were movie posters. Now, I'm not saying he was 19 when he did this, but Judas Priest, he was young. That's incredible that he was getting, when I was 19, I was just barely beyond stick figures. Now here's a couple of the other, like this is like Richie Rich. So he like got like movie posters that, or movies that sucked, but he still did a really nice poster work. That's, what's that kid's name? Macaulay Culkin or whatever. So it was a Richie Rich movie. And then he did the Police Academy movie posters. Again, I mean, just really nice. The likenesses are great. The painting work is really good. It's sort of reminiscent of Drew Struzan stylistically wise, but not quite the same, but kind of in that school. So it's amazing that he was doing work like this. And then, of course, he left it all behind. Hang on a second. Murdoch says, I stopped going to college when someone offered me a good money to do it work. I agree. And I had an opportunity to go into Hollywood when I was still in school and turned them down because I'm a freaking idiot. I got the job to do storyboards for DOA, the remake, which sucked. But anyway, for Dead on Arrival, right, which featured Meg Ryan and the guy she was married to for a while, Dennis Quaid, Dennis Quaid. And I got that job, and they were like, I said, so they said, okay, so when can you start? And I'm like, I said, well, I'm in film school at USC. I said, so I could work in the evenings, but I can't do anything during the day or something like that. And they just laughed at me and said, dude, this is a 24/7 job until the storyboarding is done. And I went, oh, I can't do it then. Well, you go to school to get work. Now, I didn't want to be a storyboard artist at that moment. I wanted to be a director and a writer and a director. But it's like, that was like the opening that I could have gone right through, quit school, took the job, and probably been, working in Hollywood until they kicked me out by now anyway, because I'm over 60, but probably could have made a ton more money than I actually did in comics. But what an idiot. Yeah, well, you live and learn, right? Anyway. Okay, so anyway, back to Morgan Weistling. Okay, so let's take a look at his fine arts. Now, how different is that than what we just looked at? So he's working in the movie industry for 14 years and then decides to go into fine arts, which generally speaking, when you talk to people going into fine arts from illustration, they go into Western type art or old Americana or something like that, right? I love the lighting on this. What a tremendous piece of work this is. Even down to like the money and stuff that are here. This is really well done, obviously. I assume this is Annie Oakley or something of that nature, because here you have like a big, the Buffalo Bill traveling show. So I'm sure this is Annie Oakley. Look at how painterly this sky is and these clouds and everything back here. Just beautiful work. And so totally different, like that, what he was doing with the movie posters. And it's like, to be that in control of so many different styles and techniques and mediums, I mean, that's impressive. So he's doing this kind of historical Western art, right? This is really nice. This pioneer family tucking in their youngins. The thing that would just kill me about doing something like this is like this bedspread, and having to take the time to do all the work on these squares, these different colors, and this design. It's like, can I just make it one color and put in a few shadows and move on? But no, you got to put in this quilt pattern in there. I mean, I appreciate guys having that sort of dedication to the craft. The only thing with this piece in particular is I think this dude and the mom, they look too modern looking in their faces for me. That it kind of feels like those are what the models look like, but didn't really capture more of a more Western, what someone might look like in the, early 1800s or whenever this was supposed to be depicting. But still, just beautiful, warm lighting, just a really nice, friendly, inviting piece. Now, he's done a few of these with women sleeping that I just love. And don't get excited. They're not naked or anything, but look at that. It's like a still life with a sleeping woman in a dress. That's a much more interesting still life than a bowl of fruit. I mean, he's got the fruit there, right? The fruit and the flowers like you'd have in a still life. But then he's got, the woman, and he's got, look at how he's posed her. So you've got some curves and some nice motion going here. This beautiful dress. So look at all that detail there in the top of her gown here. This stunning work. And again, and I love how these guys care, like carry the color through the entire painting. So you got this violet here, these flowers, and you can just lightly see it worked into the shadows of this dress, that violet. And it's up here, a little bit in her hair. Just masterful, really. I love this one. This has kind of a Norman Rockwell vibe to it, not in terms of the style, but in terms of the storytelling. I love this. So look at this kid's face. He's got this, whatever this is, and he's like, what are you going to do with that? You know? And this old codger doctor's hilarious. And then the mom and the little girl, you know, looking around the corner at mom with that kind of half smile on her face, like, yeah, my brother's getting it, but she's still kind of scared. That is a great piece. Lucas Lopez says painting silk is crazy hard. Yeah, it's almost photorealistic, but you know what it isn't? It's because he still goes in there with these textures. You're still getting really nice texture work that makes it feel very painterly at the same time, right? You can almost see the kind of the texture and the brush strokes in here, which I really like. So it's not too slick. This is a really great one here. So this guy, the Dr. C. Stanley, you know, traveling show selling his elixir, miracle elixirs. Can you imagine living during this time where this guy rolls into town? This is about the time Wraith of God would have been around. And, you know, going into town, selling his elixirs, putting a stage right in the middle of town. Everybody's coming by and, it's just castor oil in a bottle, but yeah, snake oil salesman. Actually, I think that's the name of the piece. But yeah, there is snake oil down there. This is hilarious. But there's just the amount of characters. This is a lot of work. When you put this many characters in a piece, this is a lot of work. I'm more of a one character guy out in the wilderness, you know. Now look at this. This is a beautiful painting. And this is a close-up of a girl's face. So you can actually really see the paint texture that he's got going on here. That is just beautiful. But look at how textured it is. I mean, you can just, you don't lose the sense that this is a painting, because I would argue that you go photorealistic. And although I do appreciate that, like Boris to a certain extent, and his older stuff, like we talked about last week, or James Bama, very photorealistic. But this, you can see the paint. You do understand that this is a painting. And look at this pink in her cheeks that's up here in the flowers. The green up in here that's in her eyes. I just think this is just a wonderful painting. Michael Bancroft. Aaron is lazy, confirmed. That's exactly it. Oh, that's true. This is nice. And again, they're very, he doesn't do like violent scenes, or not that there's anything wrong with that. I like Westerns with a little bit of action, but these are all just sort of, something that would appeal to your wife as well as you, to get you to buy the G Clay print or whatever they're selling of this and hang it on your family room or living room wall. But I think it's so cute, the little girl down there trying to mimic mom and doing her own sewing while mom's up there at the sewing wheel. making the clothes. And even as far as, look at how nice it is, this outside through this window. You get this little kind of warm, outdoorsy sense coming in through the window there. But having to go in and research this stuff, like this sewing machine thing, a pain in the butt, I would think. Because I'm sure he poses models for these, right? And so then you're going to have to go find one of these things to use, more than likely. But nice warm lighting there. Okay, now the other thing that he did that he also does is Christian art, which I assume then he's a Christian, because he probably wouldn't be doing Christian art if he wasn't. But there's Jesus pulling Peter out of the water when Jesus walked on the water, and Peter tried and then got scared and sank because he lost faith. The only problem with this painting, of course, is the boat is over here. And so Peter should be over on this side of Jesus. But, you know, who am I to criticize? Very nice piece. Again, the colors are nice. Just real, it's got this nice, soft, warm lighting coming on Jesus here. And then you've got this kind of the blue and purple in the clouds. And look at that deep, dark water. Looks very foreboding, but Christ is like really lit, you know, so like kind of this safe haven saving him. This may be the most interesting and well done crucifixion painting I've ever seen, because it's clearly Jesus being crucified, but you don't get any of the bloody gore of it all, right? It's like a crucifixion painting that is suitable for the entire family. You know, you're not getting the Mel Gibson treatment with the nails through the hands and the feet and the spear being stuck in his side and blood pouring out over. You know, there's a little bit of blood indicated up here on his brow from the crown of thorns, but you got this nice little light coming, like God looking down on him here. You know, and this, look at this light right in here, right? To kind of focus your attention. Then it kind of gets more shadowy down here and away from the figure work. But it's really dramatic, but it's also very telling. You know clearly what this is, but you're not getting any of the, this is almost like an inspirational, and you don't really see crucifixion, you know, when they're depicted. It's more like Christ's suffering, but this is more of a hopeful, you know, which, you know, the purpose of Christ dying on the cross was for, you know, the salvation of our sins, from our sins, right? And so that's a hopeful thing, but it's such a brutal occurrence that I just think he did a masterful job of finding that uplifting moment, you know, and how to depict it so that it's inspirational rather than sort of sad or, you know, depressing. So I really thought this was cool. And I show this as the last one here for him, because this is he's got a book out, and this is the cover to the book, and I really like this. This old grandpa, will assume, telling tales to his youngins as they're gathered around the fire here. Very sort of Norman Rockwell-esque. Although Rockwell didn't do a bunch of like frontiers type drawing. But much as we sort of revel in the detail that Wrightson would bring in a Frankenstein lab scene, right? Look at the detail he's bringing to authenticate this sort of old home, you know, with the stuff back here and the pots hanging here and the quilt right there and the little basket right there, probably of, yeah, sewing stuff down here, and this little wooden wash bucket, I assume, some books over here, a little picture on the wall, the wooden paneling, just little pot hanging over the fire, cooking stew or whatever. Looks like the kid's drinking something here. And just look at his face. He's just mesmerized by this, apparently this Indian peace pipe that Grandpa's telling a story. I mean, it's just, it's family oriented. It's very warm, pleasant, and yet well done and complicated in terms of its design and detail, that it's a piece you could hang on your wall and just, have people would come and look at and just be mesmerized by. Randy Howe, how I took the peace pipe from the natives. So yeah. So there's Morgan Weistling. You guys, he has his own website. Just you can Google him if you want to check out more of his work. But he's probably around maybe younger than me, probably younger than me. Yeah, it says here Weistling's paintings have won multiple awards and purchased for permanent display by major museums. He's still the youngest to ever win the coveted Prix de West Award, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. He also went to win it his second time in 2008. So how about that? Also interested in depicting his Christian faith. So there you go. He is a Christian. So he also did a book called The Image of Christ, which has paintings by him and texts by him, and the text by him. A Brush with History, The Paintings of Morgan Weistling is the book of his work. Probably on Amazon. Says it's out of print, so I don't know if it's expensive or not. Yeah, he's been married since 1990, so I don't know. He can't be. He's probably younger than me. I've been married since 92, but he was probably I didn't get married till I was 29, 28. And so he might have been much younger when he got married. But I don't know. Does it give his birth date? Weistling made a transition to the world of fine art in 1990. Okay, that's when he made his transition. Doesn't say. Well, this is his write-up on his website, so he probably doesn't want people to know how old he is. Which I don't blame him. So anyway, there you go. Morgan Weistling. How about that? There you go. I've seen him on YouTube before. Probably. Early 50s. Yeah, I would imagine he's probably a few years younger than me. Anyway, so there you go. Let me throw out to you guys to please hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Obviously, right now we have our biggest audience of the day so far, so I'd appreciate it if you have not subscribed to my channel yet. Please do so. It's free. So, all right, folks. There's only one thing left to do. You know it, I know it, and we all love it. All righty. Boy, have I got some real crap for you guys this week. I'm trying to find some good stuff out there. All right, we call this fishing Bigfoot. Well, I'll just let you guys be the judge because, sure, I have my opinions, but it's your opinions that really matter. Do you really believe? Let's see if you do. Watch right in here. Yeah, there it is. Right there. Right there. I love how they zoom in. I mean, it's out of focus. Right. Okay. This is out of focus already. And then they zoom in so it becomes more out of focus. And we're supposed to be able to tell anything from this? I mean, oh, you can clearly see that it's you can't tell anything. But it could be a Sasquatch. Vaseline on the lens. I know it's like a Star Trek episode with a the beautiful girl with a Vaseline on the lens. Now this is not. They claim, Randy, to have found plenty of Bigfoot scat. Of course, how would you even know the difference between Bigfoot, wolf, bear, whatever? So anyway, yeah, I don't know that we can take anything from that, and I'm prepared to take nothing from it. But let's try again, because if at first you don't succeed, watch more blurry videos. This one we call this one's called, and I named it, of course, but I named it Blurry Bigfoot. Like we didn't just watch Blurry Bigfoot. Here we go. You see, he's back here. Look back here. Do you see him walking? There he goes. Do you see it? You see it? Okay, let's try it again. There. This thing right here is walking through the trees. So that's what you're looking for as it goes in closer. See it? Now watch it. There it is, walking right through there. See that? See him? Right there. And it's really helpful when the camera is so steady. There he is, walking between the trees and gone. So any logical person might assume, oh, there's some dude walking out in those trees. And then yet we're going to assume it's Bigfoot. Look, there it is. There, can you see him? My bigger question is when we get videos like this, where we get this short clip, couple seconds. There he is. See, there's his head right there. His head's right here. That's his arm. His legs are here. That's the body right there. See? How in the world does this guy know to put his camera there for two? And it just happened to walk between the trees while I was filming. Yeah. Kevin Wolf is convinced. Marcus Kilgrew is too. He thinks it's totally real. Marcus, were you able to answer my question about whether John Buscema liked Rudy Nebrez as his inker? From way back earlier in the show. Rand Anderson's questioning, maybe it's Kelsey. Could be. So I understand that this is an important part of the show. In fact, some people might call it the foundation of Aaron Live. And you got to be saying to yourself, Aaron, you got to do better than this. There's got to be better videos out there. Jerry's saying, why does that shadow move exactly like the Patterson Gimlin film? Gimli film. You know why? Because they probably lifted it and put it back there. You guys, I search the woods, the internet, everywhere I can to find excellent representation of Bigfoot. And it's just really, really hard. So I'm doing the best I can. Please bear with me as we take on another video that I like to call White Bigfoot. Okay, this is okay. Well, let's just watch. So we're looking at over here. Something's going to come out of here. There it is. See it? See him? Yeah, White Bigfoot running. There he is. See him? There he is. There he is. There he is. Okay, so the question is, it can't be big. Why would Bigfoot be white? Oh, there he is over here. He's still there. Look at him looking around there. Husker can't believe it. Okay, so let's watch him. He's here. I'm going to run this backwards. Okay, so there he is. Isn't this more likely to be a rake or a skinwalker or something? Why are we assuming this is Bigfoot? Why are we assuming that's Bigfoot? I mean, why are we just not assuming this is a dude wearing a white getup? Now explain to me why we see him right here in between those two little trees, but when we go over here, he disappears and then reappears out on the other side of that big tree. What's going on there? Yeah. This doesn't look like Bigfoot at all. It looks like a rake or a skinwalker or something. One of those bald white things that supposedly live in the woods as well. Here we go. Live action one more time. That's just a guy dressed in white running around in the background while his buddy films him. That's what I'm deducing from this. He's going to the nudist beach. That's a possibility. Spaceman says, of course it's fake. Passmaster Dan, KKK foot. Well, okay. Yeah, it could be a Wendigo, or Wendigo or whatever, but it's like, where's the snow? Where's the snow? Lucas Lopez says, that's an old fat dude. Jerry says, Yeti on summer vacation. Kevin Wolf, Yeti. Borovohe Gerbik saying Shikaka. Is that a thing? Albino Bigfoot. Colonizer Bigfoot. Marcus Killigrew says, I found this. Big John Buscema was an early and lifelong fan of Nebraze. He is said to have stated more than once that Nebraze is my favorite anchor. I thought he said Sal, his younger brother, was his favorite anchor. But if Buscema has good taste like I do, then he must have liked Nebraze. That's all I can say. The quote from I read that quote, that same quote, but it was on Rudy Nebraze's fan page or something. I thought, well, that's kind of self-serving. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But I will, I'll go back to check that out. Thank you, Marcus, for checking on that. Daniel Ross says that's EVS. Okay, we're 7 likes from 100. Who's watching the show right now and hasn't liked it? How can you not like this show? Okay. I've got more. Okay, now this one is Bigfoot in the snow. Okay. So we just had a Yeti in the woods, and now we're going to have Bigfoot in the snow. They should have switched places, but you guys can, of course, inform me of your feelings on this as well, because you may have a different opinion than I do. There he is. Now it's pretty clear to see. So this has been a perfect time to have a white Yeti walking through the snow, and yet we have a really dark brown or black Yeti or Bigfoot walking through the snow. Now, I'd like to point out that this strange shape doesn't seem to be touching any of the snow-covered trees, which you would think he might do and knock some of that snow off, but no, that doesn't seem to be the case. One would wonder if perhaps this was added later, especially like, what is going on here? That's not a very good shape. I mean, I've got to assume, right, that's his arm. That's his arm. Hang on. Let me get to this. Okay, so that's his arm. That's his head. This is another arm, right? And these are his legs down here. And then he moves off. He's very thick, yes. Husky Bigfoot. It was white. If it was white, Aaron, you'd complain you couldn't see it. I know I'm never happy. But again, now I want you guys to look at something here. Look at the foreground, these trees and stuff, how soft this focus is. So the entire thing is out of focus. This is not just, oh, well, you know, the autofocus decided to focus in on the trees. They blurred the whole thing so that once again, you can't really see much. And then therefore now you can believe because you can't see it clearly, which would show you that it's fake. Oh, I'm so cynical. All right, now we saved the best for last, folks. This needs no introduction. This is a trail cam, and it's the clearest trail cam you may have ever seen that had a fake creature in it. Because most trail cam pictures, if you get a fox or a bear or a deer, they're clear as day. If Bigfoot shows up, they're blurry. This is clear as day. The question is, really, what are we looking at? You tell me. There it is, folks. Looks like a baboon. But here's the problem, okay? Here's the problem. If it's real, meaning if it was really a photograph and it's not, this is clearly a guy in a suit. Look at this back leg and how it bends and the foot comes up. In fact, look at this hair hanging over here. It looks okay. I mean, it looks like a baboon, obviously, but that looks okay right there, right? But then when he starts to move, look at this leg right there. That is a dude taking a huge step in a costume. Is exactly what that looks like. So here's, as I'm looking at this as a special effects expert, which I am not, this appears to be a costume right here. This head looks like it's digitally put on there, but this looks like it's real because it looks so much like a guy in a costume walking. Look at that. Tell me that's not a guy in a costume walking. That's exactly what this is. But this head almost looks completely like fake, like it was CGI'd. Because you'll notice the eyes don't blink, or there's no, like, the mouth doesn't move really. It's just, it doesn't even work with the rest of the body in motion. The head and eyes have no life. Exactly. Clearly a dude in a suit, says Rodimus Supreme. The human legs. Yes, that's the dead giveaway. But it's some people are believers. They think this is a mountain baboon. Oh, now Endino's saying it's Mike Miller. Let's be nice. Guy in a suit, says Past Master Dan. Fat Samurai, that's the one we've been looking for right there. Jerry Roscoe says the fur does not move at all. Well, it does on the back end. That's the thing. It's like the front of it looks completely like a composite thing on like video, but this looks like it was filmed or something. But it's like those scraggly bits of fur or whatever hanging off its butt makes it looks like that was like the flap that the guy got the suit on in. So I kind of feel like this, again, this is a guy in a suit up to here, and then the head is pasted on in a CGI program or something. This looks so fake right in through here. And what cracks me up is guys will put this on these websites or these YouTube videos, and they're like, could this be the elusive blood? And there's like, when it's clearly fake. But this one's a fun one, though. You got to admit. Look at that head not move right when it goes off. It's almost like it got glued on there and it's kind of floating. It doesn't look three-dimensional at all. Randy Hall says that's Kelsey's Halloween costume. Marcus says, I think I saw this guy at San Diego Comic-Con. And I love how they slow it down so you can really tell it's fake. But at least it's clear. So set up a trail cam near your home, and you might capture something just like that on film. It's incredible. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I want to thank the one lonely super chat I got from Stealth for $2. Thank you so much for that, Stealth. Appreciate it. I want to thank all you guys for joining me in the chat. It obviously makes the show work when we have a little back and forth. We really appreciate that. I will be having Pete Samedi on, but not until May 4th, because next week I won't be here. I'll be gone. And then the following week I will be here, but then the following week after that I'll be gone again as we move my daughter home from college. 5 years in the making, but we finally did it. Shelly and I got both our kids through college. Woo! And then we'll be back on a regular schedule. So we do have Graybeards this week, so keep your eyes open for that. We'll have a poll posted tomorrow for your voting pleasure, so you don't want to miss out on that. I believe it's either David or Gary's turn to pick the categories, and we'll go from there. We're working on a guest. I don't know if we'll be able to get him this week or the following, but we'll keep you guys posted as things develop. So again, enjoy the rest of your wonderful weekend. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hit the like and subscribe on your way out the door. Be safe, be happy, have a good old time, and we will see you next time right here on Aaron Live. Good night, everybody. Try that again. Good night, everybody.